Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming, for staying, or joining us now, if you're joining us now. And we're excited and a little sad for our next program, our closing bell with Dr. Reynolds, last full program with us. I'm going to have him come in. He's going to introduce a special guest and wrap up the year for us with some highlights and other information he wants to share. So welcome, Dr. Reynolds.
Well, yes, I'm hopeful we have, yes, there he is. We have a special guest. Dr. Todd is joining us, I think from Indiana. His office in Indiana. The technology works. Todd, welcome.
Well, Dr. Reynolds, good morning. Good morning, UPC members. I'm somewhere between Indiana and Illinois. We're putting final touches on a move. I want to say thank you to Julie. I know there's governing board members listening. Thank you for the opportunity. I am so excited. We are so excited about moving to Paradise Valley and being the new superintendent. I'm excited about today, listening in on today's closing bell. And I am so excited about joining you and hearing more about all the great things. So thank you, Dr. Reynolds, for the opportunity to say hello today.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Now, I do see a dog carrier in the back. Are you bringing?
So we do. We transport them. So I am the proud father of two senior animals. So they're both 16, a boxer and a Chihuahua. And so when we go places, they go as well. So they're asleep, as they do all the time.
Things that I pick up on. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. As long as the technology holds out, great. But if we don't get a chance to chat, we'll talk soon.
Perfect. Thank you.
Being here. Appreciate it. All right. We're good.
Do I switch to my stay on the Zoom on your side?
You can no, switch to yours. And I'm going to share mine back.
So as you're doing that, I'll just share with you, last night we held our, what we call our silver anniversary and retirement party for our employees who've been here for 25 years, been in the district for 25 years. Wow. And then also celebrating our employees who are doing one of two things. They're either leaving our system, our retirement system, and then moving to ESI so that they can continue to support the work that we do, or they're leaving us all together and heading off into retirement. So that was an amazing event. It was a tremendous experience. We had a tremendous turnout. It was a lot of fun. We got to honor Dr. Sean Holmes, who is leading the system, but what's that? But not PV, right? It is one of those things that in Arizona we're very blessed to have, because there was a time where employees had to make choices, and when they hit their years or their points, they would leave, and we would lose someone like Dr. Holmes, who has many more years in him, so many to serve. And so we're very fortunate to have that. She wasn't there, but this will be Deanne Chisman's last UPC meeting. We have already begun that transition with Rochelle Miller, who is joining us from the Union Elementary District, which is a very small district, I think sort of west and south People are like, I don't even know where it is. But I believe it's over there, but she does come with, many years of experience from the Spokane School District, filling in this same role. So, we're excited to welcome her in. We've already begun that transition. Deanne is going to stay with us, on a part-time basis for a few months to help with that transition. That I can tell you that Miss Miller was incredibly excited that she was willing to do that. Because, when a new superintendent comes in, I think I've shared this with this group, when that transition, everyone kind of looks at that and thinks how important that transition is. I can tell you with 100% certainty, the transition between Deanne and Rochelle is far more important, right? So we need to make sure that happens smoothly. So thank you both. You'll be here many, many, many more years. But Deanne will be heading out. So we appreciate that. Okay. All right. So closing bell. All right. Got two presents. So the fun thing about opening bell and closing bell, right? Opening bell, obviously, we get to look to the future. We get to talk about what the going to look like, and that was a lot of fun putting together. This was way more fun putting together. Well, that didn't come out quite the way. Not because it's my last closing bell, but it is so much fun to look at what we've accomplished. And this is just a snapshot. So you remember, with a district as big as we are, we just have examples up here of some of our successes. And so it was a lot of fun being able to put this together and look through here. So a couple of academic highlights for you that we just want to go over. I'm not going to read each bullet, so I'll give you just a few seconds to kind of peruse through there. A couple of things that I really want to highlight are our National Merit semifinalists and our Flynn Scholar. Just in case, the National Merit Scholarship, that is one of the premier scholarships in the nation. If you are a National Merit Scholar, you've done some pretty cool things in the classroom. And you have to both prove it with grades, but you have to back it up with your PSAT scores. And so to have 14 National Merit, 34 commended, that's like semi-finalists or quarterfinalists in that world. So that's really exciting. And then to have two Flynn finalists and then one Flynn Scholar. If you're not familiar with the Flynn Scholarship, that is the most prestigious scholarship in Arizona. It basically, it's not a full ride. It's like a full ride plus, right? So it comes with summer travel. It comes with overseas. It comes with experiences. It's basically, it's tuition, it's room and board, it's everything. And this young man is absolutely incredible. To have someone turn down the Flynn is like,
He did.
yeah, I don't even know how to explain. I had a student at Pinnacle when I was there. We worked so hard to get a Flynn Scholar. We're like, this is going to happen, right? And the kid, he gets it. He's a Flynn Scholar. He comes in, he tells me how excited he is. And then about 2 weeks later, maybe a month later, he comes in and his head's down and he's like, at that time, Mr. Reynolds, I know you were so excited to have a Flynn Scholar, but I'm turning it down. And I'm like, oh, what? And he's like, I basically got the same scholarship at Duke, so I'm going to go there. And I'm like, all right. I want to say MIT?
Stanford.
Or Stanford, that's what it was. So,
But he did get into MIT. He got it's the American scholarship to Stanford with everything.
right. So if you're in that world, then you turn the Flynn down, I guess. The Flynn Scholarship, by the way, you have to attend one of our universities. And so we're just excited about that, as well as a lot of our CTE and our CTSO competitions and those kinds of things. So it's, again, a snapshot of what we have our kids have accomplished this year. All right, student experience highlights. Just, we've got a few up here, but hot off the presses, I want to make sure I get this right. We had last week, we had the Outstanding Phoenix Youth Leadership Luncheon, where we had 3 students who had been selected. So the city of Phoenix, right, they're broken up into districts, and each district selects a student out who lives in that district. 16 of them come together. We have a luncheon, we celebrate them. It's a lot of fun. We had 3 of the 16 that were PV schools kids, 2 from Paradise Valley High School, 1 from Pinnacle, and then they select a male student of the year and a female student of the year, and we were selected as the male student of the year, so it was really exciting. Twin scholar, right? Yeah. This is, I think I've joked with you before, when I'm at a luncheon like that is when I text my son, who's a junior at Pinnacle, like, do better. All right, so a couple of highlights out of my office and Deanne's office. Just some things that we continue to work on. We're really, really proud of the work that we're doing with PV Beat. We're really proud of the newsletter work. All of that comes out of our Marcom department, and so we're excited about that. Here's where we're going to need to put some more effort as we look to the future. If you remember, a few years ago, we developed a strategic plan to get us through a couple of years, 2, 3, 4 years in this transition with a new superintendent coming in. And the people like, ooh. So with a new superintendent coming in, this is the right time for Dr. Cummings to take a look at that work and see where we're going to build on it and what that might look like and how we continue to drill down to make sure that we've got indicators that we can use to show the growth that we're making. So we'll take a look at there. So we're moving on to, by the way, I should have mentioned, we've got representatives from everywhere across the district. We are missing Miss Berrigan from Business Services. I think she had another event that she needed to attend, but we've got Student Services, we've got Marcom, we've got the Superintendent's Office, we've got HR, and we've got Curriculum and Instruction over here. So if there's any questions when we get to the end, they can help answer them. But one really cool thing that I wanted to highlight are these problems of practice. Is that new this year? Right? So every time we bring the principals together, one of the things that's a significant challenge for us in public education, and I think it's probably a significant challenge for large organizations anywhere, is that it's really hard to find time to collaborate. Right? It's really hard to, we've got tons of committees and we've got representation, right? That's not the collaboration I'm talking about. I'm talking about when we can get, 5, 6 middle school principals together to really talk about some of the issues that they're facing. It's even harder to get a feeder group together, right? Where you've got the elementary principals who then send their students to the middle school, that then send their kids to the high school, getting that articulation together. And so it's really difficult. It's a challenge to be able to do that. And this year, Dr. Corson and Dr. Lindsay have done a fantastic job of really using a lot of the time that we have with our principals, with our leaders, to identify challenges, right? You can see, I think we listed them up here. We spent a lot of time talking about chronic absenteeism. You're really starting to see, not really starting, it's been talked about for the last couple of years, but it's really rising. You can see the themes as your, educational leadership magazines and your curriculum and instruction magazines, right? All of those organizations start sending you information, and almost all of them are talking about chronic absenteeism right now. It is a serious issue in our schools, and it's something that happened right during COVID that that made it okay to not come to school, right? Or rather, to not come to school a couple of days a week or 1 day a week. And that's not okay, right? You're missing out on so much. We know, right, from the time that we probably had these all online, right? It's a very different experience than if we're able to come together. And so this is a significant issue, and we're gonna have to continue to figure out how we build that back. Just because, right? Just because you can go to your curriculum website, or just because you can go to your teacher's website and get the homework to do, right? Just because then you can go to the online textbook and read and then be able to answer the questions. We know that so much more happened in the classroom that day. So much more happened during that lesson than just what you read in those few paragraphs. And so how do we continue to get our students, which then means our parents, to realize and understand how valuable it is for their child to be there each and every day? Yes, ma'am.
Is absenteeism increased since COVID? I mean,
Significantly.
and has it been consistent every year since then, or has it?
I'm gonna look
increased?
to our student services.
In COVID, but not just within our district, but everywhere, and just haven't seen it come down like we should have. And so we put in a lot of interventions. You all may have seen schools set goals or have trackers up, and students are getting, we're doing lots of incentives for coming to school. So the principals are working together around this issue, looking at best practices, because this is a problem nationwide. And just really doing a lot of research on strategies that are working.
Yeah, I think for us, the only comms I saw was you're no longer gonna pre-provide missed work if students notify their teachers.
Yes, and when during COVID with remote learning, there was a lot of opportunities for kids to, go on our digital platforms and get assignments and things like that. And so it made it easier to miss school because they could access their work that way. And that became a habit, and we're trying to undo that habit now. And so the schools have changed their practices to make that information or those assignments not as accessible because they're missing the instruction that goes along with that.
And I think even more importantly, not more importantly, as important, right? They're missing what, like I was trying to explain, what happens in school every single day, right? I've always talked with parents about, when they come in and they say, we're taking our kid out, we're going on vacation, right? It's the only week we could do it, right? We know it's not during spring break or whatever, but it's really important to our family. And I'm like, yeah, go. Like, what a phenomenal experience to be able to go do whatever you're going to do. That's good. So we want to balance that with that it's easy to not come to school because most likely that child is probably at home, right? Isolated in some way. And so how do we continue to work with our families to do a better job of that?
With the increase in absenteeism, has there been a decrease in grades or a decrease in graduation rates?
We have not seen that,
So
right?
grades are staying the same even though they're missing school.
Yeah, because,
That's
exactly, right? No, that is the conversation that we have to have, is because it's the same conversation that we're having around AI, right? Because the answer is not to not use AI. That's not going to be a thing, right? I joke about this all the time. When I first started, math teachers were just losing their minds because we were going to let kids use calculators, right? Not using calculators is not a thing, right? It's hard to justify that when everyone else in the world, except in math class, uses a calculator, right? So it's how do we continue to grow with that, and how do we find other ways to assess how our kids are learning and motivate our children through our PBIS systems, right? To reward them for coming to, this is no different than, right? This is no different than us in the workforce, right? And we're hearing, right, this all the time, where people are saying, I don't want to come back to the office because I can do my work from home, right? And then when people say, well, we're going to make you come back to the office, like, why? Right? That's not a reward, right? That's not a good explanation. So how do we work with families? I'll take one more on this one and then we gotta.
I was just gonna say, just so parents understand, when they're talking absenteeism, they're not talking, like 12 days in the year. They're talking 70 to 90 plus days of absentee student participation. So I sit on the counseling advisory at PV High School, where they've done a tremendous job in focusing on this one issue. And remember, some of our schools have incredible issues with different socioeconomic family situations. And it may very well be that the parent is staying to their teenager, you're staying home and watching the kids because I have to go to work. So it's not always just because they can get that homework. There are other things that the schools are having to deal with this. I was shocked to see 70 days. I was like, how do you miss 70 days of school? That's a lot.
Yeah. All right. As we move forward, a couple of highlights here. Again, we're still in our instructional leadership, but I did want to point out the continued partnership that we have with Project Momentum. We'll be moving up to 14 of our schools who will be implementing the strategies from Project Momentum. We continue to identify schools where we feel that they could, with some additional resources, with some additional supports, really make a difference in moving the needle on their academic achievement and what we're doing for kids. All right. Still here in instructional leadership, who oversees our VIP program. You're all very familiar with the VIP program. I did last night at the retiree event mention to them that we have the VIP program. And if you can imagine, those that have been doing this, thinking they've been volunteering for 30 years, are like, no, I'm good. I need a little bit of a break. But we handed out some flyers so that, December, right, January, when they're like, I think I should come back and volunteer, right? But when you see this number, 237 VIP active volunteers in our Volunteer in Paradise program, just for those of us who have been in PV a long time or were here when this program started, it's hard to even imagine that we would get to that number. When 80 onboarded VIPs this year, like it's remarkable. It's just absolutely awesome. That program is incredible. We're so blessed to have it supporting our kids. 12,000 volunteer hours, right? So those are people going into our classrooms, having an impact on student achievement, having an impact on student learning every single day. It's quite remarkable. We had a chance to celebrate them, I want to say 2 weeks ago, something like that. And so just absolutely incredible. And also just to highlight our VIP College Corps program that we partner with PVCC. They actually just awarded, I think it's in here. Yeah, the Community Connection Award. So PVCC awarded our VIP program that award because of the impact that it's having, not just in getting those aspiring teachers to come into our classrooms, but the impact that it's really having on them, right? And their careers and inspiring them to become teachers. So we're excited for that. All right. Oh, so 99% of our kids, now we just talked about chronic absenteeism. 99% of our kids showed up to take their state assessment. That's
impressive.
That's not really great.
It's hard to explain how amazing that is. And I don't mean for a lack of words. I mean, it's like, what is it that we are doing, right? I'm assuming that this is a pretty good indicator of how seriously our teachers and our staff and our schools are taking these assessments, and how seriously then that message is sinking into our kids that they say on that day or on those days, even if I have 70 absences, I have to be there for those days. And so a huge shout out to our sites working so hard to make sure that that they're there. Remember that when I can't remember how long it was ago, but when we moved away from the Ames, then we were AASA, when we moved away from that being a graduation requirement, we just assumed this number would plummet, right? Because you're trying to get high school juniors to say, I'll go in and I'll give my best effort. First of all, I'll just show up, right? That's the first thing. But then I'm going to give my best effort on this assessment, even though it doesn't really impact me as a student, right? I think they're really starting to see the impact that it's having on their schools, right? They want their schools to look good. They want to do well on these assessments. So just really, really wanted to point that out. It's an incredible number. On this slide, again, taking just a few minutes to kind of read through those, but wanting to highlight our Aspire program. That comes out of our Human Resources Department. We probably put that together. I'm going to look to the team. How many years ago? 4. So these are people who, and I'm going to make sure I say this correctly, they are not currently certificated. They're working to become certificated. But we have them working in our classrooms, right? It's part of that emergency certification program. And so we have a cohort of 19. Of the 19, that's huge. 14 special education teachers. And so we're working through them, and then we've got, I think, oh, there it is, 11 who will be finishing up their first year this year and moving to their second year. So a huge celebration there. And I think on this, and then we just had our second annual gifted showcase last week. I think it was. Okay, thumbs up. Yep. And so really excited about that, really excited about how we communicate with our parents and our students, our community about the pathways, right, that we provide. We're doing a much better job today than we did 3, 5, 10 years ago on showing parents, right, showing students that traditional of just because I start in this elementary school, that means that I go to this middle school and then I go to this high school. That's great. It's phenomenal, fantastic, right? But we have pathways all over the district where if you are into the arts, right, you can be on this pathway. If you are into CTE, you can be on this pathway. So really excited about that as well. All right, I gotta keep moving. Oh, right here on our Azella assessments. So to give 2,500 assessments on our small little team that comes out of language acquisition, I just want to give them a big shout out because that's a lot of work. They are assessed every 3 years, I think, 3 to 5 years. So every year now, we're going in and assessing our success in with these students. And so these are our students who were moving out of their need for additional resources. And so we're really focused on making sure that we're getting those language skills developed as fast as possible. So we really appreciate that team and all the work that they're doing. This is really cool. I'm not sure if everyone knows, but our Director of Fine Arts, who is Maureen Minnick, she came to us a month ago or so and said, I really want to interview to be a principal. So she was an assistant principal. We needed her to come and support our fine arts department. She came and did that. is missing the school, wanting to get back and having that principal experience. And so she'll be joining the North Ranch team as their principal next year. So we're currently working to replace her, which will be a huge challenge because she's just done a remarkable job. But we have 90 graduates earn the Arizona Seal of Arts Proficiency. If you're not familiar with that yet, Arizona has, I think, 3 or 4 seals that they'll award through the Department of Education. And basically what it says is that you took advantage of, X amount of experiences when it comes to the arts, and you have gone above and beyond in your program. And so they award a seal. I think we've got a biliteracy seal, an art seal, financial literacy seal, and civics. Yeah, so there are 4 seals there. I believe we do 3 of them. Do we do all 4?
Did all 4 this year,
Okay.
so it'll be the first year, this is the highest number of until we've had since they've launched. But we brought on personal finance and civics this year, so we'll have our first graduates with those 3.
That's really neat. All right. Ooh, human resources, right? This number. 'Cause that's the exciting number. Remember, I told you when we started off, we were trying to get to 5%. We were hoping that somehow we'd be able to scratch out 1.5%, or I'm sorry, 1%. And then through the savings that we saw in that very painful process of closing schools, we saw a larger savings than we were expecting. Now remember, that's one-time savings, right? So it's not like that, those dollars will keep coming to us. And so we were able to give those dollars right back to our employees very, very quickly. You'll see that different groups break that 3% up differently. And so that's why it's 2.5 here, 2% down here. They work through their bargaining process to break those up. So that's really exciting. A couple of highlights from our human resources department. We had 2 HR techs who completed the Personnel Administrators Association training, which is super exciting. We also had all 3 administrators, right? So our assistant superintendent and our 2 directors, who are right over here, all completed their SHRM certification. SHRM stands for Society of, yeah, I would have gotten there. I had the HR part, right? So that's like, it's like getting your master's degree or your doctorate in the world of human resources. And so all 3 of our leaders in that department are accomplished that this year. So we're really proud of them. Marketing, their job never ends. It's year round. It never stops. It's just over and over and over again, trying to manage a district of all of our schools with individual websites. You can see this number right here, almost 10,000 pages of managed website pages. So just a lot to go through and to try to stay on top of and work with our schools to make sure that they're doing the very best job possible to communicate. Some data from our business operations as we move there. Big district. Lots of work going on. They're just waiting, right? Facilities is just waiting for next Friday and for us to get out so that they can get in. They do the amount of work they do between the last day of school and the first day of school, as some of you probably know, as you're bringing your children in on the first day, and you might still be seeing painters and right and all of that. So they just do an incredible job. This is my favorite slide because it's so exciting for our business department, right? Our accounting department, and the rest of us are like, no significant deficiency or material weakness. They throw a huge parties. The rest of us are like, I don't know what that means, right? But a really big thing. And we receive those awards over and over and over again in our business department. So we appreciate all the work that they're doing, obviously, and how they partnered with our human resources department to get that 3% for this year. Nutrition and wellness, again, big numbers, right? As you communicate all the work that's going on and how in our district, 10,000 lunches and 3,000 breakfasts every single day. Purchasing, again, a group that gets very little credit. They're right down this hallway, but they work really, really hard. Over 10,000 purchase orders this year in our district. And bringing on 500 new vendors, right? So that's more choice for our schools. That's more opportunities to go out and partner with different groups. Transportation, just in the first 100 days, 570,000 miles traveled in our buses. But look at this. Yeah. That's what they're doing.
50%.
So they're working really, really hard. We have made huge strides. I think we said we brought on 8 bus drivers. 11, thank you. Brought on 11 bus drivers since we started our campaign. It doesn't, I know it doesn't sound like a big number, but when we were down into the 30s, that's a third, right? It's a big number for us. We have a lot more work to do, but they're just, and just so that you know, yes, some of this is to and from, right, home. But these are drivers who are committed to making sure that our kids have experiences outside of school, right? That they're able, that a couple of slides ago, that they're able to get to the MIM for that experience, that they're able to get on field trips, that they're able to do those things. And so we really appreciate them so much. All right, just quickly, because I know I got to wrap up here in just a couple of minutes. Looking forward, right? We kind of some bullets here that we need to keep focusing on, and I'm continuing to talk with Dr. Cummings about this, but supporting on the transition plan, right? That'll be a big piece. I've committed to him. We talked about Dan, but I've also committed to him to whatever he needs, right? As we work into July and into August, I'll always be there for him. I know Dr. Bales will always be there for him. Dr. Lee will always be there for him if he has questions or needs support. So, you know, this is a family, right? It's a community, and we want to ensure the success for years to come. We have to continue our focus on improving student achievement. I think that's one of Dr. Cummings' big points that he'll make as we continue to carry that forward and put that focus on student achievement. Also understanding that we have a whole child that we need to worry about. We need to, as I mentioned earlier, very beginning in the presentation, our strategic plan. We need to relook at that, see where we want to go in the future and how we're going to get there. And then lastly, we've got the bullet that says continue to increase community input and voice. The way that I put that, and I put it with our coffee with cabinet with our DAC team, and I'll talk to our principals about that when we come into our last all administrators meeting. That means to me is that we have to, at all costs, protect the PV way, right? We need to protect our tradition of collaboration. We need to protect organizations just like this one, right? Because it is not like this other places. Trust me, it is not. And so to be able to have a group like this, to be able to have the voice as parents, right? The active voice as parents is huge from a district perspective. And so we need to protect the PV way. We need to protect who we are. We need to protect our traditions, our history, and ensure that we build on that foundation and continue to take us forward to future success. Thank you so much for welcoming me back. I thought I knew that I might be able to have an impact coming back and serving this year on us, on the district. What I didn't realize is how much of an impact you all had on me. So thank you very much. Nailed it.
All right, so thanks, Dr. Reynolds.
Thank you.
administration for coming, and we thank you all for coming. We hope you will continue to work with us and come next year and into the future. So you know where to find us, and we know where to find you. All right, thank you, and we will transition next to our training.
Thanks,
All right.
everyone.
Thank you.